Well, how you feeling, Steve?
Like the magic bus.
What do you mean?
Is the magic bus in there? Is that what we're hearing in the background?
Yeah, a little bit of the magic bus.
Little magic bus.
Okay.
No, feeling good. Back at the Foothills Golf Club, which is one of the home bases here in Ahwatukee.
Yeah.
And they've done an amazing job of really redoing this whole beautiful clubhouse and working on the course. And
Ahwatukee's premier event space.
Yes, it's just they're doing an amazing job. So glad to be back here.
Yes.
So exciting.
We're in the pro shop today, which is great, man. They have this new little putting green that's in there. Looks fantastic floors. Everything's all ready. Course on its rebirth here, and lots of good things on the way. We actually have our DV hockey banquet here. Our end of season banquet's going to be here.
Oh, nice.
In I don't know, 2 months or something like that.
huge
Season's almost wrapped up, bro.
Wow, hockey season almost done, huh?
We have playoffs. This weekend are the play-in games, and then the semifinal, then quarters and semis are going to be like next weekend, and then the big dance is at Mullet Arena February 1st.
Okay.
So I think this episode will actually come out after the fact, but anyways.
Okay, well, good. Well, good. The final run. Good luck, DV hockey.
Good luck to DV hockey.
Yeah, awesome.
We just got to get the kids to buy in, man.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I'm an alumni coach there too. You know that, and I had the same issue. Is the same thing that final run. You got to tell them to, grind it out for the seniors. This is your last run. A lot of times last time you'll put the uni on again, the sweater, and go for it. I mean, that's all you can do. So,
and then you have to try to get a teenager to be unselfish.
Yeah. Well, that's for a different podcast. But they do.
You're right.
You do have a beautiful event where you're going to have the amazing banquet, and they'll enjoy that to how you started.
Well,
so it's great to be back here.
This is episode number 22 of the Move the Needle podcast, and this is done in conjunction with 100 Plus Women Who Care, who have an event here later on tonight. We want to say thank you to Amy Richardson from the Savvy Realty Group, Keystone Montessori, and of course Bella Set Lingerie. You'll hear about them throughout the podcast.
Buying or selling a home is one of the most important decisions you're going to make, so you deserve someone who truly cares about your journey. I'm Amy Richardson with the Savvy Realty Group and HomeSmart. Living and raising my family in Ahwatukee for nearly 20 years, this community isn't just where I work, it's my home. Growing up in the Midwest, I learned early the importance of connections and relationships. These values shape everything I do. From our initial conversation to long after you've settled into your new home, I'm here to provide ongoing support and guidance. From staging to cutting-edge marketing strategies, we expertly showcase your home to sell swiftly for the highest possible price. So if you're ready to buy or sell, please reach out to me. And remember, important decisions require savvy solutions.
Hello, I'm Laura Hertzler, head of school here at Keystone Montessori, nestled in the Ahwatukee foothills. We are celebrating over 25 years of serving the community with authentic Montessori education. Our community at Keystone is home to 12 classrooms serving children from 15 months to 15 years old. We take great pride in each of our Montessori environments that support our students at each stage of their development. Please call us today for more information. We would be happy to welcome you to the Keystone family.
What makes Bella Set Lingerie so unique? For starters, check out the vast selection and size range. Cups from A to K in styles like balcony, plunge, wireless, strapless, and more, including mastectomy and maternity bras. With superior customer service and free professional fittings, it's the go-to bra shop in the East Valley. Locally owned, with 2 locations in Ahwatukee and Gilbert. Check out our glowing reviews on Google and Yelp. Visit bellasetlingerie.com to learn more.
But today on the show, you have to have a name that starts with J-O.
Actually, we have a new client be coming on. Tutor doctors will be coming on too. So why don't we mention them now? So they're new client on board, Tutor Doctors of Ahwatukee, Chandler, and Gilbert. Yes.
Beautiful. Welcome to the party.
Sorry to be.
It's all right. As I was saying, to be on the podcast today, your name here has to start with J-O.
Okay.
Right? So we're going to bring Joan on in just a little bit. She's a part of something called Corbin's Legacy. And first, we're going to sit down with Jodi. Jodi Polanski is with the Lost Our Home Initiative, which started back in the late 2000s, 2008 to be exact. You know Jodi rather, because you have adopted two dogs.
Two dogs, yes.
Tell me about Danny, and then I want to welcome her into the podcast.
Okay. Well, Danny, so first of all, thank you, Jodi. This is the first time I've met you in person. But
it is?
Yes, I haven't met her in person.
Well, howdy.
You know, I knew of her, but being a recipient of two amazing dogs we adopted there. Danny was a foster that was going home to home that we saw at the Easter parade here. They do in Ahwatukee here.
Okay.
They still do. And they bring the adopted pets in. My daughter had wanted to adopt Danny, and we were going out of the country. We were going on vacation, and my parents were going to watch the house, and we said, sweetheart, it's just not good timing, you know. And they just passingly said, well, we'll be at PetSmart in a few weeks if you guys decide you want to adopt a pet. And so we went to Costa Rica, out of the country. We came back, and a couple weeks later, my daughter's on her way to her first Girl Scout meeting, which, sidebar, never joined for the story, never really joined the Girl Scouts because
me neither. So don't worry about it.
You were never there. But as they're driving on the corner of their eye, they see the sign for Drive by PetSmart for the adopt a pet, and they said, "Oh my God, I wonder if that dog's still there." And they stopped, and Danny was the only one that wasn't adopted that day. And Danny was this. At the time, black, what some people would call a little mangy, a little long hair, snaggletooth, not the best well-dressed
A little
dog.
rough around the edges.
Yeah.
I had one of those
but
too.
Sweet. My daughter came and said, "Daddy, can we have?" We had lost another boxer. That's another story, but. And I said, "Sure, sweetie." And we adopted Danny. We cleaned her up. We used to give her this buzz cut. It was like right to the skin. So she had this black. She looked like a perpetual puppy, like a black lab puppy for her whole life. She went from being on death row where nobody wanted her to everybody wanted her. I mean, we did not go through a day, telegraph past her hiking. Girls would cry, "Mommy, can I have one of those?" I mean, right in front of us. People would actually ask us, "Can we buy that dog?" She was amazing. And so when I tell people,
somebody said that to you, "Can we buy your dog?"
Many people. No, this dog was. I can't even explain it. It's just. I'm not even kidding. This was daily. This was not like once in a while. It's just hard to explain. It was magic, and I think Jodi's going to talk a little about some of these animals have magic, and when they mix with people, they're just the right. And everybody that interacted with Danny loved her. Everybody.
Do you remember Danny, Jodi?
Come on, Jodi.
Like
you remember
10,000
Danny?
pets ago. So.
Yeah, okay.
So many thousands. But it's amazing that we were able to take her in. She lived with us for 9 years, and she was the first pet that I had been with that we put to sleep with my daughter, and it was tough. It was one of the tougher things I had done in person. I'd never, seeing from that switch over. But as I've read on, the animals and the pets, you could allude to this, Jodi, that they really appreciate that, and being with their loved ones at the last minutes. It's comforting, they say. So I'm glad I was there. But Danny was amazing, and then we got our second dog, Molly Moose, because she's as big as a moose.
What is with the human names for your pets? That's something I'd like to explore today.
Really? Is it something? Well, because guess what? Our dog was growing up like Maggie.
Really?
Yes.
Jodi, where are you on human names for dogs? Love it? Hate it? Have any kind of an opinion?
I love it. The only problem gets kind of confusing sometimes because we're talking about people at the shelter or pets at the shelter, and then we don't know if we're talking about a person or a pet sometimes. So at the shelter, at least, we do a lot of like really odd names. Like we will have like a litter of kittens come in, and they're all like Mexican food names, like enchilada and tortilla, and everything very odd and different that we know who we're talking about. But me personally, my pets are been named different, both mostly pet names more than human names.
I have a little Chihuahua in us, first one that we've even remotely called a human name, and because when we picked it up, it had I don't remember what the dog's name was. It was something like Billy or something like that, and we were like, no, thank you.
You're not going with
and
that.
so but we wanted to keep it close to the enunciation so she'd still kind of recognize it, and so we changed it to Millie. My wife had a Millie growing up, and so we have Millie, the little Chihuahua.
Well,
now.
Millie's that's a human name.
It's kind of a human name.
Not kind of.
It's a human name.
It is.
Yeah.
Kind of.
I mean, it absolutely is. It is the first one that I've ever had, and but in the past it's been like. Then I'm trying to think. Like we had Breck, not a human name. We had Squire, not a human name. We had Bascom. Not a human name.
Bascom, one of my good buddies smoke. Shout out to Artie Bascom. Wow.
Really?
Yeah, one of my little Artie Bascom from West Utica, the west side of Buffalo. Yeah.
Well, Jodi, let's talk about your foundation, Lost Our Home. So this started in 2008, and I think anybody in Phoenix is going to remember what was happening in 2008. Man, the you know what was hitting the fan here from the housing market, and a lot of people were being displaced from their homes. And of course, man, when push comes to shove. And something has to give, it's probably going to be the dog or the cat or grandma. So, of course, I'm joking about the last part. You stepped in at that stage of the game to start this foundation. What was it about that housing crisis that made you leap into action?
Well, I've been doing a pet rescue at the time, and I was also doing mortgages. And so a lot of my friends and clients were realtors, and they kept telling me that, because I knew I was a pet lover, they'd keep finding pets abandoned in foreclosed homes. And I just kept wondering, like, what happened to those pets that were abandoned in foreclosed homes? And they would never know. I told the listing agent, and that's kind of where it ended. And so the initial idea was, like, let me just help those realtors when they find a abandoned pet in these foreclosed homes to go out there and get the pet in a safe place. And that was actually the initial premise for the organization. But
and there were that many dogs being left in foreclosed homes.
And cats.
And
yeah.
cats.
And
Really?
some were just being let out of the house and just moved out, and they left the animal out, and then the animal was by the front door waiting for somebody to come back again.
Oh,
And
so sad.
Yeah. So there was between that and being left in homes, left in backyards, and sometimes neighbors would find the pets before a realtor would. Sometimes locksmiths would find the pets. Sometimes it could be an appraiser. You just never know when the next person's going to be there to find the pet.
Okay. So you jump into action. You start doing what with these animals?
Well, I took them in as foster homes. Started the rescue. We had, I thought we'd just take a couple pets in a month. We'd get some foster families and put in foster families and give them medical, and then put them for adoption and find homes for them. And in the first 6 months, the first year, which is 6 months, we rescued 600 pets.
Oh, holy smokes!
Yeah, it was incredible.
600 right out of the gate?
Yeah, right out of the gate. It was insane. Some of them were like litters. Like we had one rescue we did was like 23 dogs at one house, So just trying to coordinate all those pets being, that were being abandoned in one place, and where do you put all of them? And so people really got behind the cause and wanted to help out, because it was really horrible. You can understand people were losing their homes, and but pets were losing their homes, their families, or their lives, and so people felt for that and they wanted to help out. So it was great to have that kind of help, and we were able to do that work because of the people in the community that were jumping in to help out with be foster or adopting or helping to market the pets. So
I mean, you've come a long ways now, because, Steve, I'm sure you're aware of this, but Lost Our Home really has kind of 5 programs now that you guys all pour into. So let's spend a little bit of time talking about each one of them. There's the temporary care program, which provides up to 90 days of complete care for pets. What else is involved in that?
So that program is kind of our one that really just finds us differently than most rescues. We're one of the first companies in the country to have a program like that. We're still obviously one of the longest running and also one of the largest ones in the country, but that program helps people who are going through a crisis. So people who are, let's say, they're leaving a domestic violence situation and going to stay with a family member or go to a shelter, they're going to the hospital, they're homeless, can't go to a place that allows their pets. These are all places where pets may not be allowed. And for them to get into these places, they have to be able to be there without a pet. So what happens, they lose their beautiful baby, their family member, to go get the help that they need? Or do they stay on the street or stay in a dangerous situation to not lose their child, their baby, right? So we care for the people's pets for up to 90 days while they are getting themselves together, whether it be a shelter or hospital or a friend's or family member's house. They can get the help that they need and then get the pet back when they're able to get the pet back at that point. So that's that program started because people were losing their home and they were staying in people's houses in between. And then from there, it went from being people staying in between homes from foreclosure to being domestic violence, which is something we specialize in.
So that's another one of your pillars, and I really love that you have that program. Maybe you know this, Steve, maybe you don't, but I did a lot of work with the Sojourner Center for several years, and I was always shocked to learn this over and over and over and over again. But there are a lot of people that are in these really tough situations, and they don't leave because of the pet. They're afraid that something will happen to the pet if they just up and leave, and so they stick around. And I mean, how do you, I'm sure it's hard. I don't pretend to be in their shoes and understand what it comes down to make that decision. But programs like yours are out there going, hey, we'll make this decision easier for you. Leave that situation. We'll help you in the interim, and then the pet can come back to you when you're ready for it. Is that, do I have that right?
Exactly right. Yes. So, Sojourner Center, they're one of my favorite places for domestic violence shelters. We help them build their pet shelter. So if you've been to the campus, you've seen the pet shelter there.
Well, now they don't call it Sojourner. It's something different, right? Didn't somebody? It is Sojourner.
It's still Sojourner. It's owned by another company, but it's still called Sojourner. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was with. Do you remember? Oh my gosh, what was her name? She had an enormous Saint Bernard.
Yes. With a P. I remember their name right now. Yes.
I know who you're talking about.
Long dark hair.
I remember when that was all happening.
Yeah.
And she was one of the first people to live at the shelter with her dog. And they were that was like a revolutionary program because they were one of the first shelters to allow dogs.
Yes.
Which was huge.
Yeah.
I mean, you step in to help out in the interim, but these guys were like, no, just bring them with. And I'm sure there's some parameters, but still, it's incredible.
Yeah, we helped them. I helped them find the location on their spot on their campus to do it, and helped them design the shelter. We helped.
You did.
I did, and we had we had staff that were there 7 days a week, helping to care for the pets and helping the pet parents through any kind of related pet issues that they may have, including training and things like that. So we were there every single day, and helped build up the program and the protocols, and the procedures. So it's been like one of my babies. And
well, it's such a great space.
It is a great space, yeah. And it's been improved since we did it initially in 2015. And so they've had other work come in and make it even better and better. And they've actually now have gone to do even more. They now have a lot more rooms that are pet-friendly rooms. So now the pet shelter is really more like a pet daycare. So the cats still stay there, and the cat rooms are beautiful, beautiful. And they got an indoor-outdoor space, that's really safe. And the dogs stay in the family's rooms now. And if they leave for the day, they bring the pet to the shelter, where there's somebody that cares for the pet there and kind of babysits, so they can go out and do what they need to do, and the pet's safe while they're gone too.
I just love that we're putting this out into the world, because like I said a few minutes ago, there's so many people that are sticking around in terrible situations because they don't know there's an alternative.
Correct.
And we're saying we have an alternative for you. There is somebody lost our home. Go visit their website, right? Like dig into the programs. There are people willing to help out in this situation. What about your first responder program? When did that start?
That started in 16. It comes a blur over time,
I know you do so much. It's hard to keep it straight.
And that is a program we work with the Tempe Police Department and Tempe Fire, and what we do now, Tempe Marshals and Care 7 now. And we do is we have an area we built in the shelter for them, which is it gives them 24/7 access. So they can bring dogs in, they can bring cats in, doesn't matter what time of day or night it is. When the situation, there's a pet involved in it, they can make sure the pet lands in a safe space, so they can go back out to the street and do what they are doing, protecting and serving the community. And so a lot of times there's no place to bring a pet, so what do you do? Like set the pet free? That's not really healthy for the pet or the person that owns a pet if there's a person there too. But
the first thing people think of, if I'm not mistaken, would probably be something like the Humane Society or like animal rescue, where they would come. But then I'm not sure what happens to those pets after. And what's different about your program is there's this ability to reunite.
Correct. Yeah, our program, they can reunite. So we get strays in too. We try to find the owners if there's a stray pet that comes in. I think the biggest thing about this one is what it is for the officers, though, is that there's a place to bring the pets 24/7, which is not very common, and it's a difficult thing that officers around the country deal with, because a lot of things happen after hours. And if the places are closed, what do they do with the animal?
Crime isn't just 9 to 5. Yeah, right.
Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. And so that's what the great thing about this is they have access to the shelter 24/7. And then the other thing too is that they can come by if they want to and take a little break with an animal and kind of get their head back in the game again if they need to, if it's been like a bad,
a lot of thinking
so.
involved, Jodi. Boy, you got all the angles covered. I mean, that's impressive. I mean, as I sit here and hear that, it's really thinking things through.
The pain points and
thinking it through. Yeah, for sure.
I can't get that much credit. Sometimes things kind of happen, and you're like, oh, that's a really great idea. So some things I thought through, and some things just happen. Some things just kind of happen, like having the officers come there and just be able to have a time for a little reprieve. That was on them. That wasn't on me. I saw it happening, but I didn't think that was going to be part of it, and I love that part of it now. So
that's super cool. Well, then you've also got your food bank program and your pet rescue program for abandoned and or owner surrendered pets. So, I mean, that one's pretty self-explanatory, but talk to me about the pet food bank program. Who's that for?
So that is for people who are food insecure. A lot of people, they can't afford pet food. We've seen seniors who will purchase medications because they can't provide food for their pet, so it's one or the other. That's what they'll do is buy the food. We've had families, they are getting food brought to them from a people food bank, and they give portions of their food to the animal, which is not good for them or the animal. And so our food bank is able to provide those families with pet food and supplies. It could be everything from litter to leashes, collars, pet beds, pet food, obviously canned, wet or dry, and be able to help them be able to keep their pet and not have to worry about them sacrificing or the pet sacrificing for having a little blip in financial.
Gosh, how do we make sure everybody knows about it?
I know Jodi to the rescue. I mean, she's thought.
Honestly,
I mean, she's
make
thought
sure
of this. She's thought of
knows?
that. Well, our viewers, I did not know about all those services. We knew about a few, but I learned a lot today. Like you've got a lot of the base. I'm gonna say all the bases covered.
All the bases.
Yeah,
I
really.
mean, there's not many holes in your program.
No.
Congrats are in order. It's not like brand new, but a couple of years ago, PetSmart recognized you, and I was reading on your website, gave you a huge grant. So you're getting some funding. You've got some support. You've got the eyes of some people in the community. What are you hoping to build next? Or are you just looking to sustain what you've got? Or would you like 10 programs eventually?
Well, it's overwhelming right now. There's a lot more need than there is support to help the need. And so people, when they need the help, they find us. Unfortunately, people who want to support find us. So we're definitely looking for some more support because we can't do what we do without the support. The more support we get, the more pets and people we can help, and it's very direct, right? And so you don't have it, you can't help. You do have it, you can. Last year for our temporary care program, we were only able to help 11% of the people who made applications because of lack
breaks
of.
your heart.
Oh my God! Every day we see applications, and people are crying on the phone, and it's like the hardest part of my job is doing that. But we try to give other resources and try to help them out as best we can. But there's only it's so overwhelming, the help that's needed right now and the lack of resources. So we just do what we can. We do as much as we can every day, and whatever we have, we give out to help. So,
what kind of resources do you think they need, Steve?
I mean, I believe they need funding because obviously if you're buying food and supplies like that, so
money,
money, volunteers. I'm sure there's people. Well, I mean, dog walkers, right? I mean, you need a lot of dog walkers, and I also read that you're one of the only pet rescues that they allow 16-year-olds. Is it, or how old is it? 16-year-olds to walk the pets?
8-year-olds can walk them.
Oh, 8-year-olds.
Yeah.
Oh, well, boy, cut that in half. Wow. There you go.
Again, what another incredible thing. Like, let's give the access to the people that can't wait to go walk puppies.
Yeah.
And that's kids.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and that I think that's a bigger job than, right? I know a couple of people do, that's like something they do like daily, right? I mean, you need dog walkers every day.
Yeah, I mean, we're there 7 days a week, so we're not off Saturday or Sunday either,
How many dogs and cats do you have right now that are looking for homes? Is that I know it's a floating number, but on average?
So the shelter on average will have anywhere between our temporary care program and our rescue program. We usually have between 250 and average pets at a time. Of them, we usually would have maybe a third of that will be up for adoption, and the other ones are on a temporary care program. And we usually have about 80 pets that will be at the shelter, and the rest are in foster homes. Something that we have to do a lot of, that we need a lot of, is foster homes, because the more fosters we have, the more pets we can save, because that gives us more capacity. to be able to take animals in. So, so volunteers for sure, fosters for sure, funding for sure.
Who's the ideal volunteer? I mean, is it the 8-year-old who's going to bring mom and dad with her and they're going to go have a volunteer experience, which is going to be incredible for the kid? Or like, who is the quintessential volunteer?
So it's not the age, it's really the commitment.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, so who is that person? Is it best for somebody who's got a lot of free time, or, you know?
So anybody that wants to commit, they can commit like once a week to come in, because the more they come in on a regular basis, the more they get to know the animals and the employees, and the more they can really do, the more trusting people come with, hey, can you help us with this now and help us with this now? So they become much more integral part of our team when they're here on a regular basis. So whether it be a mother and a daughter, or whether it be a senior citizen, or it doesn't matter how old you are, it just matters your commitment. So if you can come at least once a week, so we can know you and you can know who we are, and we can give you more and more stuff that we can trust you to do, because we know that you're there and you know the animals, right? You're there, you know them. Yeah. So we're like, okay, you know this animal, you can take this one out because you know this animal really well, where somebody doesn't know the animal and that will take the dog out, for example. So
okay, this is good, man. I'm glad you had her on.
Yeah, big time. Mm-hmm. And you know, we're not going to let her leave without telling us one of these heartwarming, inspirational stories. I know I told mine, but I know she with all those thousands of dogs.
Danny's a pretty good story.
Danny's an amazing story, but give us something locally, you know, this area of Ahwatukee. I know there's a lot of your dogs in this community. You can share that with us.
Recent adoptions that have
Yeah, tell us.
I'm trying to think. Like, I don't necessarily look at the location of where they're adopted at to know.
Okay, then we're just gonna go back. We're gonna go straight out back to the. Give me the. Let's pull out the heartstrings.
Came through that just. You were like, yes. I'm bringing that one home. Actually, sorry.
Yes.
There's a lot of those that I want to. Yeah. You know, one of the animals that actually I did take home a couple of years ago, he was in our temporary care program, and he was his mother had adopted from us back in 2010. And she was senior and had to go to the hospital, so we put him in the temporary care program. And the foster at the time was supposed to pick him up at the shelter, and she had to leave for emergency out of town. So we took him back to our house so we can take care of him. And then, of course, my husband fell in love, and so we're like, okay, we'll foster him. Well, then the mother wasn't able to get out of the hospital. She fell and hurt herself, and we kept holding and waiting, and it kept to the point where, like, you know, we're just going to hang on to him for as long as you need him, and whenever you're ready to take him back, you can take him back. Like, we'll take him out of our program. We'll just on a personal level care for him. And we did that for 2 years. He was blind and he was deaf, and he was just the sweetest dog you'd ever meet. So sweet. And she sent us big booklets about him, and we kept in touch with her. And so it's a very personal story of one that was just this amazing little dog. You don't know what would have happened if she had no one to care for him. Right. You know, because being blind and deaf.
We know what would have happened. It would have gone somewhere, been euthanized. It would have been game over for the dog.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But he was able to have quite a few more years with us.
That's so
and
cool.
Yeah. So his name was Sammy. The person's name.
Little person's name.
Exactly.
Yeah, I thought it would be fun to wrap up. I Googled this earlier today, but it would be fun to talk about this with you guys. You know, every year they release the top dog names.
Okay.
For 2024. So, what do you think this is how we're going to wrap up. What do you think the most popular female dog name is? I'll give you a hint. It lives in the sky.
Clouds?
You said cloud? No,
not the clouds.
Lives in the sky.
Ooh.
Stars?
Tell me when you're ready. I'll just tell you the answer.
Sky. I don't know. Yeah. Sky's a name.
The moon, but in Spanish they say Luna.
Oh, Luna, yeah.
Luna.
We have a lot of Lunas.
Luna. In the sky.
And that's my cat's name.
Okay.
Number one female dog name, Luna.
Top,
and then it's Bella.
Yep.
And then Daisy.
Yep.
And then Lucy. And then Milo. So that's it for the girls, for the females. And then if we switch on over to like male names, hold on a second, I'm accepting all the cookies. Let's see, where's the dudes?
Caesar.
You would think Caesar would be in there, right? Is it?
Could be.
Let's find out. Drum roll, please. The top trending dog names.
Chip.
Charlie. Blue.
Oh, did not miss that one.
I didn't see that one coming either. Bailey.
Bailey.
Tank.
Tank.
Oreo.
Oreo is very popular.
Well, and one of the cool things about you, speaking of tank, is that you guys have a lot of large breeds. I noticed that on your website, which is cool. Because for anybody out there that's listening to us right now, you want a large breed dog, make sure we look into Lost Our Homes. How do we find you online?
We are lostourhome.org, and we're also on social. Everything social is Lost Our Home. You can find us there too, and we have a great Instagram site and great Facebook site with lots of pictures and videos of our animals every day.
I know.
So
I was poking around the other day just looking at cats because my wife's always talking about getting another cat, and I'm like, we gotta wait. But when we're ready, they'll come your way.
We have great cat rooms. They're free roaming. So you can come in there, and the cats can come over, and you can hang out with them. And
so you sort of see who chooses you.
Interesting.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like that.
Interesting. And I'm ready for a dog. I'll be over there too.
You're
when
ready
I'm ready.
now.
No, I'm not ready now.
You're not ready now.
When I'm ready.
Yeah.
But I want to personally thank you for reading, because both my dogs you cared for before, and we ended up at the end of the line, but they were through Lost Our Home. So cheers
to Danny.
Cheers and Molly.
To Molly.
Yes. Cheers.
Yeah. And Jodi Polanski,
Thanks,
founder
Thank you,
of
guys.
Lost Our Home. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you.
We're going to take a quick break. You're going to hear a word from Tutor Doctors, and then when we come back, we're going to sit down with Joan, remember, because you have to have a J-O in your name to be a guest this week. Joan Leafman from Corbin's Legacy. We'll see everybody in a minute.
Looking forward to it. Thanks
again for coming on.
Thanks, Jodi.
Hi, I'm Kim Selchin, owner of Tutor Doctor of Ahwatukee, Chandler, and Gilbert. We understand every student is unique, which is why we meet them where they feel most at ease, whether online, at home, or in a public space. Our academic coaching is designed to help even the brightest students overcome organizational challenges, sharpen study skills, and build confidence, empowering them to achieve their best. From kindergarten to adult, we believe every student can be successful. We also have expert SAT and ACT coaches to help teens with college admissions and scholarships. I'm excited to learn how we can partner with your family to help today's learners become tomorrow's successful adults.
Well, this is going to be a good one, man. We're going to sit down with Joan Leafman here in just a second. I learned so much about that last the shelter we just talked to. Lost Our Home.
Lost Our Home. A lot of pillars to that organization.
Impressive. That's the word. Impressive.
Yeah, and I think we're sitting down with somebody here that sounds like the same thing's going on.
Yeah.
She's got a lot going on, a lot of different lanes within this, and we're gonna talk about that.
Yeah. So Joan Leafman is here. She's here to represent Corbin's Legacy, and I think any of us who have ever experienced loss, we know that it's really one of the toughest things that we're ever going to go through in our life. To then be able to take that situation and make some meaning out of it, to make something special out of it, to take that person's legacy and make sure that they live through and they live on with what the work is. It takes a special person, because firsthand it would be very easy to do the opposite, maybe, and just kind of get sad, turn inward, shut down, maybe not want to be out there as much. But you took a situation 10 years ago that was really difficult, and you decided to make some meaning out of it. So first up, welcome to our podcast, Joan.
Thank you.
It's great to have you here. Let me turn a microphone so people can hear you. Who was Corbin Leafman? We should start there.
Corbin was my daughter. She was a true humanitarian. She was a kindergarten teacher and selected, though she could have taught anywhere, to only teach in schools that were Title I schools. They were Title I schools and served underrepresented children. And she was known by everyone for going through the lunch lane.
I love this story.
Every day, holding up a $20 bill so that the lunch ladies, pardon me, who were not always nice, knew that every child in the cafeteria, no matter what their account was getting a hot lunch that day.
Yeah.
And asked, I'm going to cry, that she be remembered by how she lived and not why she died.
Right. Which is tough to do. So she loses her battle to cancer, but then you decide we got to do something with all this beautiful humanitarian energy that she's created.
Yes, and there were many who said just create a scholarship and move on. Like have a scholarship in her name. It'll always be there, and move on. But that's not really who I am. So I thought a lot about what was important to her, and taking care of children who suffered particularly who are hungry, was important to her. And so I can't explain it, but it's sort of the universe was with us.
Yes.
And Corbin, within months, Corbin's legacy happened. And we focused on feeding hungry children, locally and nationally at the time. And we were a little bit bigger in those days because we didn't know that you had to go deep instead of wide. So 10 years has helped us to know you don't go wide. You start
You go
small and you go deep.
Yeah.
And then if you can, you spread out.
Yeah, one of the things that I was thinking about, and I think folks would be shocked to learn this about Maricopa County, because you think of Phoenix as such this, affluent area where there's plenty of money here, don't get me wrong. But we also have, just in Maricopa County alone, 520-something Title I schools. That tells everybody that there's a huge community out there that doesn't have everything they need to be successful in life. We haven't set them up for success. And when you think about what are the most basic things that a kid needs before they can come to school and learn, it's a full belly. Because if I'm hungry, I'm not listening.
Yeah.
So how did that all come to be? I mean, I know that she wanted to feed people, and so what was that pivotal moment for you where you decided we're going to keep doing that? And then how did you do that?
So originally, I'm a researcher by trade.
Okay.
That's like my day job, and a professor at a medical school. And before we decided to do anything, I did some research. And was, like you, very surprised to find out that in Maricopa County, 1 in 4 children go to bed hungry every single night. And wherever you stand in Maricopa County, whether you're in the wealthiest neighborhood or the poorest neighborhood, at least 4 children are going hungry that night. Like tonight, when we go to bed, within 1 mile of where you are, 4 children are going to bed hungry.
Wow.
And 6 children are going to bed without the medical care that they need. And that was my signal to do something, as little as it might be, because obviously, 500,000 schools is more than we can do. We grow incrementally, but there are a lot of children with a great deal of needs out there. And so we made the decision, based on all of the needs that they had. There's homelessness, there's hunger, there's violence. We made the decision based on what meant the most to Corbin was to feed children. And that is so overwhelming that that's where we stayed.
Yeah. Can I ask you a question before we
Sure.
get to the nitty-gritty of what you do in day in and day out? Why was she wired this way? Is that something she got from mom or dad, or was this this is who she was?
It's who she was. We always raised our kids to do service.
Very nice.
To be honest, when our 4 girls were very little, every Sunday we fed the hungry. We always believed in delivering food to the person or the family in need. We lived
directly
in Chicago.
to them.
Right. We lived in Chicago, and we got in the car every Sunday morning, and we drove into the worst neighborhoods of Chicago, and we delivered food to the families. And that's sort of why I'm sure all of my kids feel a sense of service. I'd like to think that it could be the way they're wired.
And a family passion to feed the needy, the people, that
To
calling.
see when you're young too. It's
Yeah,
so
that
helpful.
calling.
And really what is unique about Corbin's legacy in many ways is that we don't ask anyone to come to us. If you need something, we come to you. And
That's great.
And that's a little bit harder, but it's what's important, because the poorest of the poor and the neediest of the needy don't have access to transportation. And sort of that's the bar, that's who we're looking to serve.
Yeah.
The people who don't get to sign up for stuff, the people who are truly in need, and if we don't serve them, they don't get served.
Yeah, I remember. So I've been doing a lot of work with Title I schools for probably 15 years now. And I remember one of the things that I was shocked to learn was that several children, Friday afternoon, they get a little grab bag that they bring home if you're in certain Title I schools. And that's the last bit of food most of those kids are going to touch until they get back to school Monday morning. That's all day Saturday. That's all day Sunday. And then back at it Monday morning. And when I heard that, I thought, wow, we have to do something.
Yeah, that's a long
and
weekend.
Thank God people are, right? Like,
Right?
thank God there's programs like yours where people are doing that. Is there some statistic? I know the 1 in 4 is shocking and within a mile, but are there other statistics that you feel like would be helpful for people to understand about our community and the food insecurity that's here?
The food the statistics are the statistics. 1 in 4 children are starving, and it's not getting better. It's getting worse.
Yeah, I heard that it was actually less than 1 in 4, like 3.8 or something like that. I was in some meeting and they were talking about how it's actually dipped under 4.
Right. It's getting worse. It's not getting better. It's more and more desperate. COVID didn't help.
Yeah.
And during COVID, we did not stop delivering during COVID. We hired the buses that didn't take the kids, and we kept the bus drivers employed, and we packed the buses with our Corbin's Legacy food backpacks, and instead of delivering the kids, picking up the kids and bringing them to school, they delivered the backpacks at the different stops.
How resourceful.
So it was
Amazing.
really great.
Yeah.
It was really great. I was like the only person out in the streets.
Yeah,
during
that's what I was
COVID.
gonna say.
Yeah, well, we were too. So my foundation was giving computers. We were connecting kids with their teachers because so many were doing distance learning and they didn't have laptops. And so we were delivering laptops to families so that they could stay connected to their teachers. And of the same vein, you have different pillars within Corbin's Legacy. You have a program called Feed a Hungry Child Over Break. Let's talk a little bit about that. I mean, it's fairly self-explanatory, but how does the program work?
So as you know, Weekend Food Warriors, we deliver food every Thursday starting at 5 o'clock in the morning. A band of warriors, volunteers, show up on my driveway, and we've turned 2 garages into food storage.
Yeah.
And we pack anywhere from 500 to 1,000 bags and put them right into cars and trucks, and then we go on our merry way. And we do that every Thursday, no matter what the weather. Sometimes it's dark, sometimes it's cold, sometimes it's 112.
Right. I was like, sometimes it's hot.
Right. And then
The food goes out.
we're like the postman.
Yeah.
You know, no matter what the weather. In addition, we discovered that if we don't feed these kids, they don't get fed. So for fall break, winter break, spring break, and summer break, we distribute gift food cards that the kids take home, and it's a little bit of a different vibe. It really does. It's really great in a way because we don't just give them a card. We make sure we talk to each principal, and we ask what is the most accessible grocery store to your families. So we make sure that the families get cards to grocery stores they can walk to. And then based on our funding, we give them as much money as we can, and it allows the families to select what they want,
Have some dignity.
and have a family meal
That's it.
around their family and with their family and what they choose. And we do that for fall break, for winter break, for spring break, and then for summer break, we really try and give them a food card that is more money because that's a 2-week break before federal aid kicks in.
I see. Okay. And then, so what have you found? What were the accessible food stores?
The most accessible food stores are Fry's. When you look at
Interesting.
when you
Okay.
look at food deserts throughout Maricopa, almost always you will find a Fry's, and they give us a little bit of a discount,
that's
when
nice.
we buy mass cards. Recently, Aldi.
I was just going to suggest Aldi or Walmart.
Aldi has just shown up. It's too early to tell whether they're staying, if there'll be more, but they're there. No one's picked them yet. I will say that. Very Kind is Bash's. A few schools pick Bash's. overall they pick Fry's, and Fry's is Kroger, am I correct?
Yeah.
And Kroger is also Food City. So when you get a gift card, you get a gift card from Kroger, and you can either go to Fry's or Food City, and that is sort of by far the largest choice.
Well, it's a nice
Most
thing,
popular
right? Like
choice.
rather than getting a basket of groceries, they get to go to the store and they're empowered, right? They are empowered to purchase the things that they want to eat for their families. And there's a lot
You
there.
know, that deals at the core of hunger.
That's it.
And pride, and we're very happy to be able to do that. And honestly, it's really easy for us to do. It is not really easy, but you know, we're not sending out 1,000 bags with food for 2 weeks.
Right, because where do you store it? How do you get it? How do you keep the control of quality?
Right, and you know, what to serve, what not to serve.
Right.
And you know, we have a nutritionist who helps us, and you can't put in the bags anything that is perishable.
Right.
And we specially design our bags so that they are what we call kid friendly. There is nothing in the bag, there's no food in the bag that a child of 5 and older can't negotiate opening and eating themselves. Nothing that we serve requires water, because they don't have running water, electricity, no refrigeration, no electricity, no running water. Most of these kids are homeless, and they're eating it in their cars. And many of them have parents who are hourly workers. Some, you know, a good number of them are from single-family homes, and they are left alone for the weekend. They are left alone to fare for themselves, and they have this food, and we feel good about our choices. And we pretty regularly have forums where we ask the kids what they'll eat and what they won't eat, and it's really interesting.
What do the kids love to eat?
So I will say,
right there.
The last one that we did, we give them chicken salad and tuna salad, and I was like pretty sure they would not want the tuna salad, but they like the tuna salad.
Oh.
They really don't like the oatmeal. We give them oatmeal for every morning, and they don't like the oatmeal, but their grandma does. They love the oatmeal.
I'm like, I eat oatmeal every morning.
Right. They don't like the oatmeal, but the grandma makes them. But of course, the absolute favorite are the Oreos.
Yes.
We used to do Famous Amos.
Really?
And one little boy looked at me and said, no.
Oreos.
Still the classic.
Well, it's a good snack because you seemingly last for a long time on the shelf.
You know, they're a little more money than the Famous Amos, but we go for it.
Yeah.
Anyway, he said no.
Okay, so there's you want to
Well,
dive in a little
I
bit?
just Matthew 2025. Okay, how? I mean, we're still. I mean, this is a major. I mean, a major problem. We can feed all these people, but how many Jones does it take to make sure every child is taken care of? That's the question. I mean, she's doing her part. How many of her? I mean, we can do this. I mean, as a society, you know what I'm saying? Like hearing these stories, you get that, right?
I don't really want to comment on that, but it would take very few sincerely wealthy individuals to end hunger in America.
See, I see the same
When the digital
thing.
divide came out, we were digging into it, and I think the number was like $6 billion. For $6 billion, we could make sure that every kid in America has a laptop.
They waste it. They lose that,
Like
and then
you
they
spent out on dinner last night at the White House. Like,
Yeah.
come on, we have the money.
You know, and they
It's
know
here.
literally they lose accounting that much, like off their balance sheets. Like we didn't even know where that went, like type of stuff. I think it's astounding. I think that's what I'm trying to say is like, when is the country going to band together and like end it? That's like this childhood hunger has got to be one of the worst.
Just think
things.
it's one of those things, Steve, that you don't care about until you care about it. If you don't go to bed hungry, if you don't know what that feels like, if you've never been in that position, why would your eyes open up to it? Unless you meet somebody amazing, right, who tells you the stories and learns, right?
I sincerely think that everyday people working on the street sincerely don't know.
They don't
know. They don't know.
Because I speak to a number of groups, and they always appear shocked. Like, really?
25% is shocking. A number.
They are shocked. And for every I can't think of a single person, well, maybe I can think of a few, who are not completely moved by the fact that there are hungry children. And there's generally, like, you know, who are they? Why are they here? There's very few questions.
Right.
You know, like, our position is they're hungry children, and our job
Just feed them.
Is to feed them. And then that feeds into, no pun intended, doing well in school. And we have, after 10 years, and because I'm a statistician, we have data. You know, children are not absent on Thursdays because we deliver food on Thursdays.
Yeah,
They're not
they
absent.
they
on,
like it.
They're not absent on Fridays because they want to take food home. You know, prior to COVID, we ran 2 free pediatric clinics.
Oh, that's great.
And kids were never, the visits to the ED were down. You know, you just help, and we call it sort of not a handout, but a hand up.
Yeah, right.
And everyone benefits. And those kids are on great trajectories. We did a survey once. This was really interesting, of 5 to 12-year-olds in one school. We interviewed every child in the school in a multitude of languages. And what they didn't know, and every one of them was as happy as could be. They were lovely children. They were all destitute. They had very, very loving families. You know, just because you're poor doesn't mean you come from an awful family.
No.
We have discovered almost every family that we work with is loving and wonderful parents that have just had some hard breaks.
Mm-hmm.
And not one of those children knew, not one of them knew that you were supposed to eat 3 meals a day. Not one of them. They couldn't have cared less. Like, well, did you get food? Nah. How many people sleep in your bed? 5. But they were loved.
And which is the most important thing
they
in
were
life.
loved.
I mean, really.
And they were delighted to get snacks. You know, we've dealt with some kids who are pretty miserable because they've been pretty hungry, and that's heartbreaking. And we do everything we can to make sure that doesn't continue. But overall, these kids are great and very happy, and the families are incredibly grateful for what we do.
We say the same thing when we give them laptops. Like, every kid we've met is like this brilliant mind who just has so much energy and is ready to tear up the world.
Right.
But they're not connected, so they can't.
Right.
They're hungry, so they can't.
Right.
It's just so cool what you guys are doing. You also have, like, Food for Thought, Weekend Food Warriors, Corbin's Legacy Can, which is a new program that offers families canned fruits and vegetables through the farmers market. I love this because I was just at the farmers market this weekend here in Ahwatukee, where my wife and I go, and we pick up a couple of meals every
nice.
on
I didn't know
Sunday
that.
mornings. So how did that come to be?
Well, because we decided we would set up in, like maybe once a month, once every 2 months, a free farmers market at each school that we serve. And it is, your vision and the reality are very different when you do it. And so when we first started doing it, let me just say cans of food are very heavy. Mm-hmm. And, we barely got to the schools, to serve with the cans that we needed for fruits and vegetables. And after doing it several times, we discovered that the families were not as interested in what we thought they should be interested in, like colors of the rainbow.
Right,
food.
right.
Yeah, don't keep your, keep your peas.
We don't
right,
save the beans.
Yes.
Right. So we sort of have modified it. We've done surveys at what each school likes, and when we do farmers markets now and free services for families, we give them what they ask for, and that's kind of catered to the schools. Like, keep your peas.
That is so cool.
And I want to say no one likes shrimp.
No, like
it's very, very low on the totem pole. I would think, and just
don't
about
give us
everybody.
any shrimp.
Mm-hmm. It's okay.
You know what's cool to me is I've interviewed thousands of people who have foundations, and probably have interviewed hundreds of people who have gone on to start things after losing a spouse or a child or something like that. And there's this one really cool common thread that I've seen in most of them, which is after I'm done talking to the person that started the foundation, I feel like I met the person. Like I feel like I met Corbin today. I see Corbin in all of these things. Everything that we've talked about today is her with the $20 bill going around saying, everybody eats here. You got that?
Right. Well, it's in their blood. I mean, Joan shared their background with her growing up like that in Chicago. I mean, that's the family that is.
So it's absolutely meant as a compliment to you.
Thanks.
It's
amazing.
amazing.
I just think it's intrinsic too.
Yeah.
I think it was inside.
Inside. I mean, you guys have it. Yeah. You guys have the proverbial it, for sure.
Now, does everybody in the family have a little stake in Corbin's legacy?
Yes and no.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, like everyone cares deeply about it. Corbin's oldest sister, Amy, lives in Chicago. She's employed. She has 2 teenage boys.
Right.
And her husband is actually a commander in the Chicago Police Department.
Oh.
So they're pretty busy, but
they support.
Yeah. You know, the second. So we had Amy, Becky, Corbin, and Dorian. So Becky does live in Arizona, is involved, and is on the board.
Yeah.
There you go.
And then there was Corbin, and then the baby, who is not a baby, has 3 young children of her own. And I will say this: her children unpack food she has 3 children, 13, 10, and 7. And those 3 children unpack food every single weekend and put the food, they count it, they count maybe 2 of 37 boxes, they'll say, have these big crates. They count it, they put it on the shelves very carefully, and then get a Gatorade and Oreos as their reward. But they are being raised to help others as well.
Yeah. Corbin's legacy sounds like it's going to go for at least another generation or 2. Like you've already got them. They're ready. They're in line. They're trained in line.
Well, I'm really genuinely moved by what you're doing.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, just in the way that you're doing it too, right? Like I said, I worked with several groups that are feeding the houseless, community, and they don't all do it like this. They don't all let people go and choose what they want to eat. They don't ask the questions, "What do you want me to go get you?" Oftentimes it's like, it's a snack pack of crackers and a Jolly Rancher and something else. And don't get me wrong, it's better than nothing, but you're on a whole other level.
No, we're really sensitive to serving people, to being a part of the community, not coming in and leaving the community. And sincerely, I think the most important thing that we do is that we go to the community. We don't ask them to come to us to pick up a sandwich. And it's all good. Everyone works together. We're all on the same team.
But you only do that because you ask the questions.
But we try to be very sensitive and respectful. Because we're all
and they're proud. They're proud. A lot of those people, they're
we're
proud
all
people.
one cookie away from being broke.
I say one left turn instead of a right turn, and things. It's a different
one
story.
One hospital bill, one car repair,
this is true. One hospital bill. I always say we are all, whether we like to know it or not, we are one cookie away from being destitute.
How can we support you? How can our community support you? I mean, obviously everybody needs time, treasure, talent, right? We all know that the 3 T's exist. Well, how do I find you online? Where would you
So we are at corbinslegacy.org.
Yes.
We're at Corbin's Legacy on social media.
Okay.
Generally, we do a lot of work in communities that want to help. We'll set up an event where, and I'll give you an example of an event that we just did. A mom called and said, my kids are spoiled. I'd really like them to know what it's like to serve. Do you think that you could help? And I said yes. So we went to her home on a Sunday with my team, because I've learned that, and we set up, and we did what we do on Thursdays on Sunday at her house, and her kids and their friends and their schoolmates did all of the packing, and they packed from the beginning, and they set it up, They packed all the bags. They put all the bags in the various trucks, and they were told, all right, this is going to this school. This is 40 kids are hungry at this school, and we gave them a little background, and they were very receptive to it, so that they were educated, they helped, and it helped us in several ways, because now that community knew about it, and that family paid for all the food. And that's, for us, even though for most people it's not that much money, but that allows us to go one more week.
Sure.
I always say we are sort of a cash and carry organization. Whatever we get, we buy food. We have no administrative costs. 100% of donations go to buying food, or sometimes, if there's whatever kids need in schools, we are cash and carry. Whatever we get, we put back into the charity and deliver to the kids. So,
do you guys have a big gala or fundraiser that you do yearly?
The day before COVID, we had our first fundraiser.
Okay.
And it was a huge success.
I can imagine.
And it kept us going all through COVID.
Wow.
And since COVID, I've been a little hesitant. People are sort of a little reluctant to sort of get back into that. And we were very lucky, because to do a big gala, you have to put out a lot of money.
Oh, yeah, it's expensive.
And I know a lot of charities that were not as fortunate as us. And so we do some online fundraisers, and the next fundraiser that we'll be doing will be in June, and it'll be online.
Okay.
And it will commemorate the 10 years. It'll be the 10th anniversary for Corbin's legacy.
Congratulations on that. It's amazing.
Well, I think we can wrap up, and I want to kind of challenge our group, anybody that's watching us right now, to take Corbin's idea and go to corbinslegacy.org and give that $20 bill to them, right? Like, I think that's the thing that we can do today. That's how we can inspire some action. Anybody that's listening today, as soon as this podcast is over, the link will be in the show notes. Hit the link, give your $20 to this organization, and the more people that do it, the better off they're going to be. Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's my challenge to everybody. And Joan, it's really been a pleasure to meet you.
Thanks. If I can say one more thing,
please.
$20
You could say even more. You could say a couple more things if you'd like to.
2 kids for a whole weekend. That's huge.
It's huge.
It may not be huge for us or for you or for me, but that $20 feeds 2 kids. It's $10 a backpack.
I like the way you think. You think about, because everything goes directly to the kids, and so
everything goes. Except $26 a week. There's a telephone. Is for the telephone.
Yeah.
I pop.
Yeah. Yeah. But thanks for what you do for the community. It's very strong. Very
Thank you.
strong.
Yeah. corbinslegacy.org. Thank you very much to Joan. Thank you very much to Jodi for coming on the podcast today. Steve,
great guest.
The Foothills for letting us take over their golf shop today.
Yes,
It was very nice of them.
Yeah.
I'm going to hit that sale rack over there. What do you think?
Sure.
Have a look-see.
Yeah.
All right, man. We will see everybody. We're another 100 women plus women who care event. Tomorrow we'll be recording it, and that'll be up at Home Smart in Scottsdale. Should be fun.
Looking forward to it, yes.
Good. See everybody
Great
then.
show. Thank you.